In this video, we are going to explain what a blockchain is in very basic terms. By the end of the video you'll be able to explain this life-changing technology to those you love, because you know for sure that grandma is interested in cryptocurrency. So make sure to stick around, and learn all about the blockchain with us. What is a block in terms of cryptocurrency? In reality, a block is essentially a collection of data. Although the data might be nearly anything, it is typically only a collection of records for Bitcoin, the most popular cryptocurrency. This information is simply a list of transactions, such as X pays Y for $50, A pays B for $80, and Y pays H for $15. If the currency is Ethereum, most of the time, it's simply transactions, but there are a few other things that can happen, including really cool stuff called smart contracts that we'll have time to cover in another video. However, for other alternative currencies, they might be your Wi-Fi, data, or documents. For this, a block is simply a group of records. Here's an example to explain what a blockchain is. I'm going to continue using a transaction log. Because it is a record of money changing hands, we refer to this record as a ledger when referring to Bitcoin specifically. You should be aware that blocks do have restrictions and can only contain a certain number of transactions, which is why we need to continually creating new blocks. For the purposes of this example, the average number of transactions in a block of Bitcoin is currently 1 out of 500. This figure is now fluctuating, but you don't really need to understand why. Just be aware that these blocks do eventually fill up, at which point we must do action. So what happens after these blocks are all taken? They are included in the network. Now, you may be wondering how we do that. We have to demonstrate that we mined them since Bitcoin uses a proof of work paradigm. That's how we accomplish that. This brings up the concept of a hash. So the next big question is, what is a hashing function? A hashing function is a mechanism that accepts input and produces a hash. Although there is a ton of math going on inside this mysterious black box, the basic principle is that you give it something, and it provides it tremendous you. In this instance, Bitcoin hashes data using the SHA-256 algorithm. Secure hashing algorithm, SHA, refers to the number of zeros and ones that are present in everything that it produces. As a result, whether you enter your name or the full dictionary, it will always produce 256 zeros and ones. Now since modern computers are intelligent, they can translate these zeros and ones into letters and numbers. This sophisticated procedure might be the subject of a documentary on its own, but in essence, with hashing functions you need to know three main things. Number 1. You can't find the input of a hash, you have to guess and check. So if you give it A, it will give you D, then if you give it AA, it'll give you J, and so on. The second thing you should know about hashing functions is that even a small modification in the input can have a significant impact on the final result. In essence, this is what you get if you SHA-256 the command, subscribe to our channel. Even if we only added one word, the outcome is entirely different if you say, please subscribe to our channel. And lastly, the third thing you need to know is that calculating the hash takes some time. Now it might only take a few milliseconds for one tiny string of text, but if you have an entire book that you're doing, or if you want to check a few million variations of it, it starts to rack up time and computing power. The next thing to know about a blockchain is that it is decentralized. Now this doesn't have to be really confusing, so think about it like this. Centralized implies that only one person is in charge. For instance, only your instructor had access to your grades in high school, and they might fail you if they didn't like you. This isn't personal. Perhaps you simply didn't grasp what they were teaching since they were bad teachers. Decentralization simply implies that more than one person can view and modify your grade. Imagine if all of your classmates were permitted to view the test's answers and grade you based on your assignments and exams. Imagine if someone other than your teacher could decide your grade. Decentralized now implies essentially this. Anyone who wants to can physically have and view a list of all Bitcoin transactions instead of just one person having access to it. Furthermore, and this is key, anyone can mine Bitcoins and cast votes on the blockchain. As a result, they can claim that Bill actually gave John $50, or they can create fictitious transactions and claim that John gave Bill his whole financial estate. So you might be asking, how do you make sure that someone doesn't make a fake transaction and spend all of my money? Well, employing asymmetric encryption with cryptocurrency wallets solves that issue. Even if it's a little unclear, it raises the question of why a group of kids would want to look at your papers and tests, which brings us back to what decentralized means. Furthermore, Why would they want to spend so much time studying them before grading the exams? According to this analogy, they would be compensated to. You virtually always receive a benefit for participating and casting wise votes on blockchains. For instance, you are paid in Bitcoin for mining Bitcoin. I hope the comparison made is clear. So far, we have discussed what a block is. It's just a collection of data. What a hashing function is, it ensures that participants in the blockchain put forth effort, and what decentralization implies. Essentially means that more than one individual is not in charge of the chain's operations. After I finish describing these fascinating issues, if you're still with us, please think about pressing the like button because it makes us happy inside and encourages our effort. Next up, let's learn why it's actually called a blockchain. With Bitcoin, there are 2 extra things you need to know about. 1. As a mining reward, whomever cracks the block and discovers the mysterious hash with as many zeros we're looking for adds it to their cryptocurrency account and receives 2 bitcoins for mining at the top of the block. This is actually how more bitcoins are produced, however the second number fluctuates and decreases over time. Second, you should be aware that they add the hash of the previous block to it in order to add the password from that block to this block. This hash is really needed to calculate the hash of this block, converting it into a chain since each block references to the preceding one. Now this is where the magic of the blockchain works. The newer blocks all change if you attempt to update an older block because you messed up the hash that it referenced to. Recall how we discussed the hashing algorithm in SHA-256. If you alter it even slightly, the whole thing is altered. So we can prevent someone from going back and adding additional money to their account. Because the blockchain cannot be modified, anything that is contributed to it is effectively recorded in history for all time. This is actually very awful for things like copyrighted content or embarrassing stuff, but it's great for things like transactions. But that's just how the internet works. So now, let's review. In the context of cryptocurrencies, a block's content is typically a list of transactions. The password to the block, or more specifically, the hash that solves the block, must then be discovered after it has been created. Each block truly contains the history of every transaction because it references a previous block. Miners accomplish this by guessing and checking until they hit the jackpot. Then, after they discover the answer to that block, they ensure that it is linked to the preceding block. Now that the blocks are linked to one another, forming a chain, and that, my friends, is what a blockchain is. I hope we've helped you comprehend this difficult subject a little bit better. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, please use the like button to show your appreciation. You can also consider becoming a subscriber to see more fantastic videos like this one. In the upcoming video, we hope to see you.